Thank you, Chairman Bozeman, for holding this hearing today, and welcome back to the committee, Deputy Secretary Vaden. It's good to have you here. And I'm actually really excited about this hearing and the opportunity. Secretary Vaden, I've spoken with you and Secretary Rollins at length about this issue that we're talking about today. So first, getting our folks back into the office. That has been really important to me. Consolidating or selling off unused office space and moving USDA closer to those it is meant to serve, which is our farmers and our rural communities. So again, just want to thank you for making this a priority. And as you know, the status quo is forcing taxpayers to foot the bill for billions in deferred maintenance. We don't hear a lot of that talked about, but there's deferred maintenance and there are the ongoing operating costs, all for buildings that are almost entirely empty. And just last week, 78% of the seats in the USDA South building weren't filled. However, this represents a significant improvement from the past number of years. When Secretary Vilsack sat in that very seat that you are sitting in today, a year ago, he denied evidence exposed by the GAO revealing the USDA headquarters building had an 11% utilization rate in 2023. He also said the whistleblower letter that I received, quote, isn't even close to correct, end quote, to the USDA building usage at that time. Well, folks, Secretary Vilsack lied. And thanks to this administration's dedication to transparency, I actually have the data to back that up. In February 2024, as Secretary Vilsack testified before this committee and told us there was nothing to see here, USDA's three main Washington, D.C. office buildings had barely over 13% of their seats filled. Unfortunately for taxpayers, USDA isn't the only agency holding on to unaffordable properties that are nearly vacant. This includes nearly 7,700 vacant federal buildings and another 2,200 that are largely empty. And to fix this, the Senate must pass my For Sale Act to dispose of underutilized buildings, including the Ag South building, and to return the money from those sales to the taxpayers. We need more of these agencies to follow Secretary Rollins and USDA's lead. So with that being said, that's a great plug for my For Sale Act. But Deputy Secretary Vaden, I find it interesting. We really haven't heard any outrage from our colleagues when it comes to the Biden administration, when they kept USDA's workforce almost entirely remote and our offices sat empty. Yet now we're starting to hear all of those concerns about relocating positions into the very communities that USDA is supposed to serve. So my question, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this, and can you expand on the main factors that led to the USDA to consolidate offices in the D.C. region and move those positions to the other states?
Well, Senator, first let me thank you for your leadership on this issue, because you were focusing on telework, the inefficiencies it created, and the vastly empty government buildings that dot the District of Columbia before it was cool. So thank you for doing that. Like you, I got a chuckle when I read the letter that was sent to me Monday night with the concerns expressed about meetings only done by telework and who's going to be at the department manning the store. As you well know, that was the Biden administration. That was USDA for the past 4 years. Drive by the Witten building, drive by the South building. The parking lots were empty. Here in the Trump administration, we want people in the office. But as you've noted, even when we've got all of our employees in the office, we're still not reaching the congressionally mandated threshold of 60% occupancy. That's not a high bar. That still leaves 40% vacant. And with regard to the South building, on High Attendance Sunday, they used to call it at my church, we hit 36.9%.
That's the high mark.
That's barely half of what Congress has mandated that building should hold, which again is only 60% in order for us to keep it. And so what drove our consideration was fairness to the taxpayer, asking them, can we really expect them to foot the bill for a building that is largely empty? And obviously in the executive branch, we are charged with carrying out the laws that Congress passed. You made your intent incredibly clear when you passed the Use It Act by a vote of 97-1 in the United States Senate, and we are following it.
And I'm so thankful for that. And I am glad that we're actually going through this exercise now to move more of our folks out to the people that they should be serving, our farmers and our rural communities. And I am going to also add to the record, Senator Marshall was talking about Kansas State University being the first land grant institution. I will note that Iowa was the first state to accept the Morrill Act of 1862, which established our land grant universities, but Iowa State University was the first institution to open its doors to co-ed students. Thank you. Thank you. I yield back.
Thank